She'll back up.
You go back to the huddle.
I think we should just burn the tree down and leave.
No, we're not burning down the tree.
I feel like
We can leave.
I feel like that might make things worse.
You realize that as an Athar, I would be well within my rights to do so, right?
Yeah, but we don't know what the rest of these trees are going to do if we do that.
Ekon, this is pretty much a textbook unseelie spirit.
Right, yeah, we burn the tree down
Yeah.
and we leave. That's...
It has, also,
It's
she
also
has a
broken
baby.
like one of the most major tenants, right? So yeah.
I'm just saying, if you do that, we need to be prepared for a fight.
Yeah, exactly. But then we burn down the tree and leave.
I think it's a little intense to burn a baby.
I didn't say burn the baby. I said burn the tree.
I feel like we probably have enough evidence at this point.
Yeah, but we need to figure out what we're going to do with this creature who could potentially cause more mischief. Like, she's going to want more kids.
I don't know if I want her to have my kid though.
Village.
The village is a few hours away.
How did the guy that we were interrogating? How did they learn about this? Like, how did they know what when
Woodsmen
to
come out here all the time.
You don't know for certain, but like you're kind of at the far edge of how far the laborers were going from the village to collect lumber to repair houses and build fences and things. So it's entirely possible some woodsmen stumbled upon this grove at just the right circumstances.
Okay.
I mean, listen. You know my stance on this. I won't say anything else.
I think I agree with Genie for once.
For once, we agree all the time.
That's fair. I agree with Genie's violence for once.
Why don't we ask her if she'll leave and then at least give her the option?
So this creature doesn't seem to want to do anything non-transactionally, so I would suggest, Evie, that you extract a price from her and living in your land in order to get something out of her without having to give her something.
Alright, so we're in agreement that we're going to try to force this creature out. I don't want an evil forest nymph living within walking distance of my town.
Well then, Duchess, it seems that you have to make a decision.
Alright, so I'm just saying, if we do this, then we need to be prepared to fight things. Okay, we ready?
I'd rather try and get some information out of him, or do it non-violently. But again, this thing doesn't seem to want to talk to anyone in any way other than transactionally. So I'm not sure exactly how to do that.
Alright, so I'll come over here, and can I see the creature from where I'm standing?
Yeah, as you step forward, and as long as you kind of have to focus your eyes on the moonbeams coming through the branches, but then you can see her sitting there. And she lifts her head again to meet your gaze. Have you considered?
You existing here, corrupting my townsfolk and my people is not acceptable.
Is it acceptable for your townsfolk to live here, corrupting my wood?
We have taken nothing but from the wood other than what any animal would. Live in peace there.
Animals do not fell trees.
These forests belong to you, you claim?
The forest belongs to no one. Belongs to itself. Who do you belong to?
If we leave these forests to you, would you ever leave them?
A thing is asked for. Shall payment be rendered? For that, I believe I would take... She thinks for a moment. 50 years.
No thanks.
And she smiles sadly.
Thinking of what I'm going to say next.
Genie hears her sister go, "No thanks." And then she's like, "All right, here we go," and she's unpacking her gear to start a fight.
Loading your musket to fire at the creature you can't see.
I see it. It's a tree just fine.
That's true. You do see the tree.
That's what Genie's gonna blow up. She's gonna blow up the tree. In fact,
Hold on. So what Evie says is, you seem to misunderstand the matter. If you do not leave, we will force you to leave.
She seems to consider that for a moment. And she looks over at Genie, who is... What is Genie doing? Loading a gun?
she's setting up her turret. She hasn't activated it yet. She's readying her arcane firearm, and she's getting ready to go. Yep.
And Evie will say, you can leave. I don't know if you have that ability, but if you can leave, we will let you leave. Just leave these lands and do not return.
And she sadly replies, I believe you could do that. It is within your ability. But she makes no motion to stand up or leave.
Okay, so here's my offer to you. You do not appear to any of my townspeople ever again, and we will allow you to stay here.
She considers that for a moment. And this thing you've asked for, should payment be rendered, I would take for that, I believe, 20 years.
The payment that you will take for this is that you will be allowed to remain in your own land.
We don't burn you down.
Is that what Genie says from back there?
I mean, at this point, I imagine Ekon is lighting a fire.
Ekon's already spoken the first 8 of 9 words for the fireball spell. Are we rolling initiative?
Yeah, basically, I say this is your last chance.
I mean, Evie, back up for a second. If you feel like we shouldn't kill this creature, then we can not.
I feel like there may be repercussions to killing a creature like this.
It's a little baby token.
I guess it'd be a little bigger than that.
Like, why don't we just we could just build a wall around the tree?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that would stop her. I don't know if she can leave this tree or not. I suspect she may be bound to it in some way. Basically, what I'm just trying to say is, we'll leave you alone if you leave us alone. But she's doesn't seem willing to go along with that.
She was willing.
She will, if we...
As long as payment is rendered.
Oh, I'm not giving her 20 years.
Okay.
The payment that my counter offer was we leave her unharmed.
You said, agree to this or we'll kill you, and then she didn't agree to it. Are we rolling initiative?
Evie's call.
You
we
guys
can come
are
back
gonna...
later. We can come back later if you want.
Pull the trigger.
Okay.
Or don't.
All right. Burn the tree.
All right. Roll some initiative.
All right.
Nothing good ever happens from us trying to make agreements with these creatures. I give and I give, and I get nothing in return.
You didn't give her anything.
I gave her every chance to prevent this from happening.
Leave your home or I'll burn it down.
If you're an evil creature who seduces men, steals their children...
We don't know if she's evil, but...
I don't think she's good.
I don't think she's good either, but we don't know if she's evil.
I don't think there are good creatures that just hang out in the forests in Ravenloft.
Orson.
So, Evie, you turn around and say, okay, burn it down.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I think she's at the top of initiative. Did anybody beat her?
I hold on. I've got Orson is 21. We'll put Orson here, and I am here. Yeah, she's
Oh, the special initiative die. I'm just kidding, Brickroad. It looks like Brickroad's leaving things off.
Yep. She's casting a spell to begin with.
you know what? I'll use my reaction for a counterspell.
All right, make that roll.
Let me double check and see.
I believe it's a
It
spell
should-
casting ability roll, and you have
Right.
its success is 10 plus the spell level, I
Spell
believe.
level. Yeah.
You might want to double check that, but I'm pretty sure.
I am double checking because it's the first time. If it's a 4th level spell or higher, equals 10 plus the spell's level.
I think
It's
if
an
it's-
ability.
I think if
It's
it's
an
3rd or
ability
lower,
check.
it just automatically gets countered. I'm pretty sure.
Right, yeah, but I just wanted to make sure if it was a spell. It's an ability check.
But I know what level the spell is. So just go ahead and make your check, and I'll
Yeah.
tell you what happens.
That's a 17.
17.
Spells 7 or lower.
She speaks some ancient arcane words, but you counter whatever she was about to cast, and you don't see anything apparent happen. She doesn't move. Who's next?
Oh, we've got Edmont with Orson on deck.
Bonus action. I'm there.
Okay, next to the tree that's about to be lit on fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's not going to be dim. I mean, there's going to be. I'm only going to have so much dim light left, so I kind of take advantage of it when I can.
Sure.
Speaking of advantage, first attack is going to be an advantage. You're looking at a 19 to hit.
19 will hit.
Uh, 10 points bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And can I please have her make a Constitution saving throw, please?
Ooh. 12.
She is stunned until the end of my next turn.
So she's stunned. And I'm going to assume that being stunned means you're not grappling anybody. Let's see. Yeah, stun means you're incapacitated. So yeah, you stun her, and her arms go slack. The baby drops to the ground and starts crying out.
The
Second
baby's
attack
still
at
invisible.
advantage.
Against the baby?
No, not the baby.
Okay.
On Brick Road. It's a 21 to hit.
That'll hit.
6 points bludgeoning damage from that second hit.
Okay. And moving or staying put?
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's good right there. Unless I provoke it, I do provoke an attack of opportunity from the baby.
You're not within the baby's reach. If the baby could attack you, its reach would be 0.
I've got Orson with Evie on deck.
Is this at disadvantage because she is not visible?
Did Orson make his perception check previously?
I
What-
didn't roll for him.
We'll go ahead and roll one real quick. Let's see if he can see her or not.
All right. That is a 7.
A 7? You see, he can't see the woman, neither can Genie, but he knows where the tree is.
Right. He can't quite reach the tree,
Okay.
so that's all of his movement. He's going to use his action to dodge.
All right. Who's next?
After Orson, we've got Evie with Genie on deck.
Okay, so the nymph, she's not prone, right?
No, she was sitting on a
It's
tree
stunned.
root. She's stunned, so you have advantage with attacks against her.
All right, I'll throw my knife at her.
Okay.
Since I have advantage. That is going to be a 23 to hit.
That'll hit.
Gee, that is the worst roll I've ever made. That is 16 points magical piercing damage.
Okay. And is Evie moving or staying put?
I I'll stay where I am, but for a bonus action, who can I give advantage to right now? I can give it to Victor. Against
Victor already has advantage because she's stunned.
Yeah, I guess giving advantage wouldn't do anything right now. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Who's next?
Next up, we've got Genie with Victor on deck.
Right, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Genie uses her action to summon a Flamethrower Turret. In this spot, and then uses her bonus action to cause it to move 15 feet to the base of the tree, point up, and shoot a cone of fire into the branches.
Okay.
Do I need to roll damage for that?
Yes, please.
Let me see. Does the tree need to make a dexterity saving throw?
A tree would automatically fail a dexterity saving throw because it can't move.
Okay. All right, I'm just double checking. So, all right. Please enjoy 9 fire. Hold on. No, it's 8. It's 2d8.
Treble is a lumberjack. He just keeps cutting down this tree. It's like, well, it would get out of the way if it doesn't want to be hit.
It's 2 fire damage. I rolled 2 ones.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I'll use 1 charge of my. No, I can't do that. It's not a spell.
Yeah, this is from your turret. This isn't a spell.
Yeah, so it's 2 points of fire damage.
So it shoots a gout of flame, and the thing doesn't quite catch. Maybe
It does catch. Like this, it does set objects aflame. Like this is a thing that it says sets objects aflame.
Okay. So it catches a little bit, but not enough to do more than 2 points of damage.
Right.
But repeated applications of that would probably have the desired effects. Those of you who can see the creature, actually probably just Ekon, Edmont, and Evie. Victor is pretty far away, and Orson, she's invisible to Orson. She's sitting there stunned, trying to regain her composure. Well, you can see the flashes of pain as Genie starts setting fire to her tree. Genie, moving or staying put?
That's all my movement.
Okay, who's next?
Next up, we've got Victor with Ekon on deck.
Victor, fix it.
Okay, so I have advantage, which means that I will burning blade throwy thing.
Is that what it's called? Burning blade throwy thing?
Yeah, well, burning blade psychic dagger sounds not really what's going on.
Anime?
Throwy thing sounds like an ability from Live a Live.
Buffy.
That's a 20 something.
That'll hit. You rolled an advantage, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Lulu is very upset that you're attacking this poor mother.
I know, but she can take 25 times 2 would be 50 points of fire damage.
She is bloodied in addition to being stunned. Victor, moving or staying put?
Victor will stay put.
All right. Who's next?
Next up, we have Ekon with green on deck.
Okay.
So is the red to... Okay, that's the flamethrower. Move up to here. So I'm going to get the creature, and can I get the tree without hitting the flamethrower if I put down a 15-foot cone of flame?
So the flamethrower was attached to the base of the tree, firing upwards. Yes.
It's sitting at the it's sitting. It's not on the trunk of the tree, but it's at the trunk of the tree, pointed upwards.
Ekon, what are you casting? A fireball?
No, I'm just casting a Burning Hands.
Okay. Yeah, you can angle that so it's attacking the branches of the tree above where the flamethrower is.
Sure.
That'd be fine.
But also getting the creature. Those are...
I'm not worried about you damaging the flamethrower. It's fine.
But okay, so I'm gonna need a DC. In a minute, 17 dexterity saving throw.
Okay. She actually doesn't get to make this, does she? No, she fails all deck saves because she's stunned.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3rd level Burning Hands is. Sorry, 1 second.
5 times my Artificer level.
Why is this? Oh, there it is. Okay. 1d6, so 5d6. Okay.
This might be enough if you roll really well.
So the tree and the creature each take 21 fire damage.
And that's enough. For the first time, the creature in front of you looks like a physical thing, not just something that exists in the shimmer of moonlight. But for a moment, her whole form takes on physical properties, just long enough for her screaming visage to turn to ash. And as you do so, the whole rest of the tree goes alight.
I run in there, pick up the baby, and get out of there.
Edmont, you stoop down to scoop up this baby, and as you do, you hear, emanating from inside of the tree, more babies crying out in pain. There are more children here than this one.
There are more children here.
I mean,
Anybody have an
hold on.
axe?
Hold on. I actually have a spell for this, but I have two. I basically have two. Like, I'm like Destil. I have 2 sets. Like, we're going into a dungeon spell list, and we're just tooling around town. Who knows? This might be useful spell list.
Right.
So, and I've never had my internet's going very slow because it's raining. So, just bear with me.
What spell are you going to attempt?
It's Pyrotechnics. Never mind. I thought it allowed me to. I can extinguish a fire within a 5-foot cube.
Okay, that's not going to be enough to extinguish the fire on this tree.
Right, but it'll allow us to buy time to get the babies if that's what they want to do. Right.
Okay. So yeah, you extinguish a gout of flame. Where at along the tree? Like at the base of the trunk where your flamethrower.
How wide is this tree? How wide is this tree?
Wider than a typical tree in the area. Maybe a full 2 foot.
I've got 3 levels. I've got basically a 4 level 2 spell slots available to me.
Okay.
If I extinguish the tree 20, like starting at the base, 5 foot square, up 5 foot, and just go up.
So you want to extinguish the fire at the base and let the top continue to burn.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. And so that's all my spell slots, and my ring. So there you go, Edmont. Go for it.
Victor also has endless water.
I mean, we still want the tree to burn.
So what's next? Oh, the tree is burning. Make no mistake.
Like,
I don't
I
have an axe. I have a hammer.
Yeah, I don't have a way to handle a tree here like this.
So as the 6 of you just kind of watch as the tree crackles in flame.
oh, so like what? We gotta. Oh, I thought you had some way to like. They're inside the tree.
You hear the
Yeah.
voices of other children crying out, emanating from the tree. As embers and ash rain down all around you. Edmont, the creature in your arms, when you scooped it up from the ground, it was no more than a streak of moonlight, like the mother herself. But the more the tree burns, the more ash rains down, the more and more material and solid it becomes, until you're holding a squalling human child, or what could pass for human, except it has slightly pointed ears.
Well, Edmont's the daddy now.
And the other cries die away, and you are left in the silent and crackling as the fire consumes the tree. And as soon as Genie's spell wears off, the trunk erupts back as well.
Oh, so the wording of the spell is it extinguishes the fire.
Sure, but half the tree is still on fire and fire spreads. So as long as you're not actively maintaining a spell, casting it whenever its duration runs out, like the fire's going to spread back as soon as it can.
I mean, the duration is just instantaneous.
Okay, then you would have only bought yourself a minute or two at best then.
I mean, so I thought everybody else had a plan. Otherwise, like I could probably get into the tree if that's what we wanted. If we had wanted to do, I thought everybody else had a plan to get in.
Do it now or forever hold your peace.
Can I back up and say that I only I used all my spell slots? I thought somebody else had a plan.
Well, then you used all your spell slots because you thought somebody else had a plan.
Can Orson try and can Orson?
If you direct him to, he can hack at the tree trunk with
Yeah,
his
that's what I
harpoon,
like.
but he's not gonna. It's just solid wood and burning.
Oh,
at
it's
that.
solid wood. Oh, well, they're inside the tree. They're not like in a whatchamacallit of the tree. That's fine. It's not fine, but there's no way we could get these babies. That's so.
I mean, I don't have any. Again, I have a hammer. I don't really. I have a hammer and a whole lot of fire. I can make things worse.
I have a water.
Can we do? You want to try and use the decanter of endless water?
Yeah. I put the fire out.
So Victor, you step forward with the decanter. I'm assuming you're using its geyser setting like a fire hose.
Yeah.
It only takes a few moments that you're able to douse the fire on this tree, and as you do, it's silent now. Most of the leaves and many of the branches have already burned away, and there's a considerable amount of ash built up around the trunk. But it's obvious now that the tree is dead. And to your eyes, two things that you notice. The first thing is that it looks less like a live tree that you've burned and then extinguished, and more like the dead husk of a tree that's been standing for a very long time that you've burned and extinguished. The second thing that you notice is the more the silence creeps back into the grove, the less it looks like the moonlight is supernaturally illuminating the area. And you're left with the standard dimness of night that you're more accustomed to in Darkon.
So now we have a baby. That's
We want to chop down the tree and make sure there's nothing inside. I think the tree might have just been screaming.
it's no, we're fine.
It was the voices of children, and Edmont starts walking back to town, not even listening to the rest of them, carrying this child.
And we cut it down.
The
and make sure
murmuring
they're
babe
okay.
in your arms reaches up with its little rosy pink hands and starts grabbing handfuls of the ruffles of your shirt. I assume Edmont's shirt has ruffles.
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
Okay then.
That was a clusterfuck. I'm gonna make sure it starts walking back.
Evie is completely silent on the way back to town.
I mean,
So you arrive back at town. It's still the dead of the night. It was a couple hours trip out there. You got there just after twilight. You arrive back. There's nobody in town to greet you. The town is asleep at this point. So nobody knows that you have this baby unless you choose to tell them.
I'm gonna return to the manor and have the servants prepare a bed for the child.
Okay.
Are we just adopting this baby?
well, what do you that's up to Edmont, man. He's
Said I'd pointed 8 years.
It looks in every respect like a healthy human child, except has slightly pointed ears.
kind of like a half elf.
I mean, all unseelie things have pointed ears in your experience.
Oh,
I mean, if this child isn't going to grow up to be like a demon monster, then I'm cool with it. But if it is, I mean, Ekon, can you
You
like
really
do some-
grappling with this question, cousin?
No, do whatever you want.
There's only one right thing to do, and it's not to drown this child.
I mean, it is kind of our responsibility now. We brought it home. Is it a boy or a girl?
A girl child.
Okay, it's a girl. Is she magical?
I mean, no more magical than any of the other strange creatures you've seen in your life. She doesn't radiate magic, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking. She's like, she seems like
She's
whatever.
magical in the sense that her mother was a tree spirit.
Yeah.
Are you keeping the child a secret from the village, or do you have some explanation you're going to offer them?
We found them. We found the child in the woods.
Is that the story?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, to be honest.
Now
you
hold
could-
on. If you tell them that, they're gonna think it's a evil monster that needs to be killed. You can't tell them we found a child in the woods and brought it home. They're gonna be suspicious of that.
I mean, one of the Edmont or Ekon can claim it as their own. We can there's already awful, terrible rumors about Genie. Although that's probably not super believable. Genie walks around the village every day. It's not like she's been visibly pregnant.
Genie's bragging
Then
that she's
what?
the father.
Yeah, like I'm the dad.
What? If you're suggesting that I try to pass the child off as my own, that's not like to happen. Who is the mother?
None of your business.
It becomes
nobody's
Edmund's
business.
prerogative if he wants to share that or make up a lie or...
That's nobody's business. Nobody's business but the Turks.
So it's Elena? Elena's the mother?
Both good jokes. I approve of both of them.
Excellent.
That's the
thank you.
child. Is that the child's name now?
Elena?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That works. All right.
That's a good name. I like it.
So,
I
not
approve.
for nothing, but the creature that I use is called an Elena May.
Oh yeah.
So, Elena May. Very, very close.
Excellent.
And also keeping in,
I'm so happy.
the E theme with everybody's name except Victor.
Wow.
So,
God damn it.
the
I hate
child's
that.
name is Elena Veritas. We're claiming she's Edmont's daughter. And the mother, we're not saying anything, and the rumor mill's just going to churn over who it might be.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Okay. Is she going... Are you going to tell the people that she's a member of your house, or is this just a bastard daughter that you're caring for? Is she a Robb Stark or a Jon Snow?
Rickard, you know I haven't read Game of Thrones.
No, but you appreciate the difference between recognizing her as your noble daughter and not doing that. Does she have the name Veritas, is what I'm asking.
No, she does not.
Okay. Then yeah, any of the peasant women of the village could be the mother. And people will delight in gossiping about it.
What is the standard? Like, what would be the standard thing from where we come from in this? I'm just wondering. Standard attitudes towards such a child.
In as much as there is a standard, it would not be uncommon for, if Edmont had fathered a bastard daughter, to raise her in his household, but not necessarily give her his name.
Because
Unless
I remember
she-
Giannis
Right.
was that way. Yeah.
There were questions about who Giannis's father was, and eventually he was legitimized in the eyes of the family, but there was always some gossip and squalling kind of surrounding that. There are like official church things that can be done. If, for example, the rest of the house were extinguished somehow and she was the last survivor, she might have claim to the Veritas name just for the matter of keeping the family alive. That's something that's happened once or twice throughout history. It really comes down to whatever Edmont wants to do with her. As long as there's nobody over your head to gainsay it, and as long as you don't have any other enemies who are trying to take advantage of it, you can probably just get away with doing whatever you want.
Evie's stance is do as you will. Like, we'll provide what the infant needs, but I don't know. I'm not breastfeeding this thing.
You can't. That's not how breastfeeding works.
I know.
And Genie goes into a long, detailed explanation of how breastfeeding works.
Genie, I know how it works.
Geez, like, first you have to build a machine. We're going
Like,
to
you get the
listen, we're going to need a pump, 6 feet of tubing, and a rubber nipple.
and some cows. Maybe the goats would work.
No, you'll have no difficulty finding a wet nurse in the village. But that would be impossible to do if you were keeping the child a secret, which you're not.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with the guys in your dungeons?
I mean, we have basically. I guess
Oh.
first thing we do is we check and see if the magic on them is more off now that we've killed the source.
Yeah.
There's no difference on that front, as far as you can tell.
Okay.
They didn't
We,
they didn't strike you as magical before, and they still don't.
Did we get the idea that a specific one of them had actually killed Tech and was the leader, or
Yeah. Who had
As far as, I mean, they all took part in the beating,
sure?
and then
Who actually used that stiletto, though?
the ringleader. That's who you were told did it.
I mean, my opinion is we execute him for murder and do something, suitable to the rest.
I mean, they all took part in the murder, didn't they?
They did.
Like, this wasn't like they were going to beat Tech up and then one of them went too far. This was they all conspired to murder Tech.
Right.
Like, in my mind, they're all guilty.
The one that rolled over on them, you just leave him in the jail.
Well, I mean, we could banish him from the village.
How the well. Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah, we execute the other three and banish the one who rolled over and the others. That's kind of where my head is at.
I'd feel much more comfortable either banishing all the ones who were. I don't think that the other two I don't particularly want to execute the other two if we're going to execute.
I mean, this was a conspiracy to commit murder. It wasn't one guy, went over
Right.
the head of the others. They all went to see this forest nymph and said, we will be given magic to fortify us against, revealing the truth. They all took part in that. This was premeditated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
Yeah.
I don't think that the last one has absolved themselves sufficiently in that case, if that's your opinion.
He's the one who told us what happened.
He
Yeah,
did
that's not
tell
enough
us.
in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what the banishment's about. Because that's. Have you been out? You've been out in the wilderness. It sucks out there. He's gonna die.
I mean, we could have Goroshu take him somewhere.
We could send him to the werewolves.
So what is
No,
the
that's
what is
not
the
actually-
They're going to kill him. That's what's going to happen there.
what is
I
your
mean-
verdict?
We already promised we would go easier on him, so I'm voting for the banishment for that one gentleman.
I mean, we could give him like a hunting bow, some food, maybe a little money, and then take him to the edge of our territory and then say you're on your own from there. Don't murder people.
Yeah,
But
we could.
I basically think the other three should all be put to death.
Honestly, that would mean marching him out into the mists, which is going to kill him.
Well, I mean, we could ask Goroshu to take him to another town, I guess. He might do that for us. He'd do what we told him to, right? He's kind of in our service right now.
There's a path. There's essentially a path all the way down to the main road, according to the atlas that we have. It's like just straight south of us. So
Take him to a road.
that's very far away from my
Mhm.
understanding. So we just take him to the edge of the land we claim and say leave, and if we catch you in here, we will kill you. And here's your hunting bow and 20 arrows. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean,
We don't recall saying good luck.
Yeah, I mean, this guy committed murder. He's not doesn't get to stay here.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay, so we're going to execute the three of them. Then the one who rolls, you're going to banish him from the village.
Right.
Yes.
We'll give him, I don't know, a week's worth of food and a hunting bow
Okay.
and some arrows.
Surprising amount of support in favor of the execution. Are you doing this publicly,
Yeah.
or just announcing that it was publicly? Okay.
I think we'll
what method?
probably hang them.
Okay.
Evie will have a gallows erected, but then it will be disassembled when we're done.
In the middle
Because
of town.
she is hoping that it will not be necessary again.
And the story is that though he was a foreigner in these lands, Tech worked hard for the village. He was a citizen under your protection. These men killed him. We've seen the evidence and are convinced, and this is the sentence. Did I
Yes.
misinterpret any part of that?
Nope. That's about it.
Okay. Then yeah. Surprising amount of support from the villagers, considering last time you guys were out there, most of them had very little to say about Tech. And was thinking of his murder as something that happened a long time ago. But as you issue this verdict out, and even as the gallows are being built, it seems like everybody in the village now has a story about friendly words exchanged with Tech, or how poor the village is now that he was cruelly taken so soon. A lot of religious fervor as well. Like, this is air rending judgment through House Veritas, and it is done justly and it is done rightly. And for the Duke's part, he witnesses the execution, his back standing straight, and for once not running his mouth, and just looks on with approval. And as you march the fourth man out of the village the following day, the crowds lob handfuls of mud and shit and rotten lettuce at him, jeering him, calling him murderer.
Evie will raise her hand to put a stop to that. She thinks it more of a solemn moment.
Yeah, you frog march this man out to the crossroads, to the edge of the mists, on the edge of your borders. You tell him that's as far as you go, and that he should not return.
Correct.
Goodbye. We'd say good luck, but you're murdering piece of shit. Go away.
And by the time you get back to the village after having done that, the gallows is already in a process of being decommissioned as you intended, or as you instructed. The sense of the village as you guys return is that the house has essentially given the idea that we didn't want to build this gallows in the first place. We didn't have a choice, and we see no reason to leave it erected. But we will build it again if need be.
Evie's position is the same thing as the Duke said. Like, there will not be another murder in my town.
That's probably not true, but
Let us have our fantasies.
Well, I just demonstrated what happens to murderers in my town.
well, I feel like the general consensus of the city is basically just very close to how Evie feels, you know? Like, you didn't want to have to do it, but you did it, and you'll do it again, by God. Or we'll turn this whole village around.
Evie,
Mm-hmm.
you and your group, upon returning to the village, the Duke intercepts you on the path just before the bridge leading to your manor. It's about dusk. And he says, if I ask you a question, will you answer me honestly?
Evie thinks about that and says, yes.
And he asks the question of the whole group of you, not just Evie. This thing you've done today, would you done it if not for my presence? If I hadn't goaded you, would it have gotten done? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Victor gives Evie a look over. Are you going to tell him or why?
I remembered something important while you were gone. I remembered my name. Darkwood.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Yeah,
continue calling
okay.
me the Duke. And that's where
Well,
we can
Duke
leave it.
I should finally make your acquaintance, Duke Darkwood.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and post a straw poll in our Twitch chat here. So,
Berkerud, how are you today?
longtime viewers may remember Duke Darkwood as a chief antagonist of Flumphscape. Duke Darkwood is one of my favorite NPCs from the published materials. He's from Planescape, and I wasn't going to ever use him in a game again because you guys pretty thoroughly destroyed him in that Planescape campaign. That campaign ends with the Lady of Pain trapping him inside of a jewel for all the rest of eternity. So I had an idea of what the Rift Spanner was. That's also from published material. It doesn't explain exactly how it works, but I had this idea of tying how it works to your guys' particular, like, strange brand of reliquary magic. Until McDohl's like, oh, okay, well, I asked what kind of adventures you guys want to run in Ravenloft, and McDohl says, I want to work for Strahd. That was his... It's like, well, the only thing... Like, I can't just put a job on... Like, Strahd just can't roll up and be like, hey, go on this quest, because no players are ever going to agree to that, because it's Strahd, right?
Yeah.
So, like, okay, what does Strahd want? Strahd wants to make Azalin look stupid. He can't beat Azalin. He can't destroy Azalin. So he wants to disrupt Azalin's plan. Well, Azalin's plan is to use this Rift Spanner, and I already had this idea of, like, tailoring the Rift Spanner to particular sources of magic. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take a look real quick. Are there any, like, famous D&D NPCs from O-Earth who would fit the bill? And then I remembered that Rowan Darkwood is from O-Earth.
It had been simmering in the back of my head that, yeah, that's also... And, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I just,
McDohl was DMing me in the middle of the session.
Brickroad, please read that message that I sent to you, like, immediately after this man entered the fray.
So he sends me a DM that just says, somewhere, Keelian is screaming, no, 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 no.
Thank you.
Because in like the meta plot in our previous campaign, when Flumph Inc. went to Sigil, the person in charge of the Hall of Records was a man referred to as Lord Taker, who we all presumed to be Keelian after he took the role that Darkwood was performing after the unpleasantness happened with Darkwood. But yeah, I went back and read through some of Faction War, which has most of the material on Darkwood. I know that 2nd edition stats don't transfer over very well, but he's like a level 19 Ranger, level 20 Cleric, and that's before he started studying magic. So I think in strict terms, he's probably lapped Azalin in terms of power level when he's at his highest.
Got some epic levels.
Yeah.
I figure this version of Darkwood at his full power would have his Ranger levels, the knowledge from his Cleric levels. Obviously, he couldn't get Cleric spells anymore, but then 20 levels of Wizard on top of that.
That's very interesting because, they announced that Planescape they're going to do that 3-box thing with Spelljammer for Planescape in the end of 2023.
Yeah, I've read that, and I'm looking forward to that.
I wonder, I'm interested to see if they stat him out.
Yeah.
Well, most of the factals had stats in the Faction War, so I think it's going to matter about how much are they going to keep from the old faction stuff.
I do wonder if it's going to be post-faction, if it's going to be post or pre-faction war.
I doubt they'll keep the same meta plot at all, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
But some of those factal stats were real dumb.
I have inadvertently stuck everyone in a time paradox. If I'm reading this right, Rowan Darkwood cannot die, otherwise time breaks down.
So a lich...
And also, we have broken one of the Lady of Pain's mazes, so we're not allowed to go to Sigil.
What actually happened to Darkwood? Because at the end of Faction War, it gives this long, outro epilogue that the players never even know about. It's just what happens to Darkwood. So Darkwood had this master plan to use this magical gem with an extremely powerful wizard trapped in it in order to wrest control of Sigil from the Lady of Pain. When he uses it, he vanishes, and the lady starts mazing all the other factals. Like, she's had enough. Well, what actually happened is he sends himself back in time, like 200 years or something, and he gets picked up and put in the Gatehouse, which is the insane asylum. So when the PCs break into the insane asylum, they meet an old man named Giffard that has the same scars Dark would have, but he's much, much, much older. And then in helping Giffard like get his memory back, he eventually gets the jewel back in his possession and tries to use it, and the lady eradicates him and Sigil changes. What you can't learn in that adventure is what she's done is she sent him back in time again, where he gained a bunch of wizard levels, put all the meaning of his old life together, challenged her a third time, but in doing so, this time she entombed him inside the jewel. So that's the rule of threes. It took 3 versions of Darkwood to change the role of Sigil in the multiverse. And then after that happens, like what happens, what becomes of the jewel? It kind of becomes a time paradox. So I figure time paradoxes can end up in Ravenloft, right? So Strahd has this jewel now.
That's probably the safest place to put time paradoxes in the D&D multiverse. Just throw it into the shit bin.
Yeah, Ravenloft is the trash heap of the multiverse.
Okay. Who wants some experience? Because you guys technically did win a combat.
Sure.
I do.
300 experience for the murder.
We're feeling good about that murder?
Nah,
Feeling
not
okay?
at all. Nah, I'm feeling pretty bad about it.
Surprisingly, I'm fine with it.
I'm not surprised.
Who was the most creative today?
300 experience points
It was 300 experience points.
for the Elinime.
Wow.
Who, as depicted in the Tome of Beast, is a kind of like Hawaiian dryad. Kind of
Wow, I
interesting.
got that right.
She was doing a bad thing, and then
Well, she was doing a thing. Who's to say if it was bad?
It was pretty bad.
Was it bad, or is that just your limited human perception?
all we have is our limited human perception. So if it was bad by our limited human perception, therefore it was bad.
You
She
murdered
looks like
hundreds and hundreds of trees over the course of the past year.
Right.
So from a
Yeah,
tree's
from-
point of view,
Exactly, but we're not trees.
But
Oh.
she murdered Tech, so it's different.
She didn't murder Tech. She just she aided and embedded the murder of Tech.
She enabled the murder of Tech.
to be
She was an
clear,
accessory after the fact.
this kind of expungement is exactly the sort of thing that Ekon would have been expected to do in his roles back home.
Right.
Like, go out to this grove, there's an unseelie spirit, you're supposed to go out and expunge it. Even if you hear, like, babies crying or she pleads for her life or whatever, it's not part of the natural world.
She didn't plead for her life.
No.
She didn't have time. She died pretty quick.
She did die. She got stunned pretty much immediately, and she tried to cast hallucinatory terrain, but it got counterspelled.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, just so you know, I did use my my Dark Powers feature for that.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're keeping track of that. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that.
Oh, I'm keeping track of everything.
I know, but like I said, I cast counterspell, and I just wanted you to be aware of where it came from.
Okay. Yeah, who wants to make a case for some blips this week?
I can go.
Can you?
Yeah. In fact, bye. No, I'm
Bye.
just kidding.
See you later.
So,
Thanks.
chaotic neutral. When in doubt, go with your gut. My gut's telling me we should burn this tree down and leave. Practical solutions to practical problems. I don't know what McDohl's or Edmont's what he was thinking, but Genie did float the practical solution to we have an infant now. One of us could just claim the infant if we're going to keep the infant.
Okay.
That's the most practical solution to the fact that we have a half tree child. And then
It would definitely not be in the church's purview to bring home an unseelie infant and raise it as your own.
well, I examined the infant. It's not she's not overly magical, and she didn't do it. And Ekon has already, and we've had enough experience with unseelie things are not necessarily in themselves evil.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
like,
new friend for Tenny.
That is a thing that we spent several sessions from Plaid's point of view exploring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's unseelie things are not necessarily evil. The child hasn't done anything wrong, so let's claim the child. That's the easiest way.
And then you're one for the video.
And one for the video. No flaw today because I can't think of anything.
Victor, you're usually the loudest. What do you have for me?
Well, if you want me to say it really loudly.
Stand in the other room and shout it.
Okay. So the ends justify the means. That would be wanting to free the being so that it can seek redemption. For the flaw, values knowledge over people, that would be investigating the jewel and then committing everything he had to actually set the dude free.
Okay.
And for seeking the truth no matter the cost, always remember Tech.
You did, but like your quest to avenge Tech did get a lot of infants killed.
Now that you've avenged Tech-Tech's death and somebody was held accountable, he will be remembered in the village for all time.
That's all we wanted.
All right, who's next?
I'll go.
Edmont.
I have a lawful neutral. Take everything you can, give nothing back. Because, listen, he took a real shine to Rowan goddamn Darkwood. Like, literally, you are befriending a taker. I have my idea. Life is my canvas, and I will make my mark on it for taking the responsibility of this child upon himself.
Okay.
And my flaw, this world is filled with predators to prey, and I sure as hell am not the prey for just, okay, nope, it's done. Just right off the bat, let's end this before it begins.
Very good. And who's next?
I can go.
Ekon.
I've got Lawful Good, the Shining Words of Air, lay down a path for us all for explaining my religion to Darkwood. I've got my ideal, give me a reason for his arguments on how to renew the investigation of the murderers. And I've got my flaw. I'm sure there has to be something good over that hill. Yeah, we'll just go talk to the Dryad. That'll work out well. We'll get all the information we need for no cost. It'll just be perfect.
It kind of worked out well. Like, hey, free baby.
I'm sorry, what's the going rate on a baby?
Depends on who you're selling to.
You don't want to ask.
This is Darkon. You can find a night hag who's willing to give you better than market going rate.
That's some dark web bullshit. We don't need to be put on that list. Don't even say that.
Yeah.
Could be literal dark web bullshit if you sell them to, like, the followers of Lulth or something.
No, thank you.
That dark wood bullshit.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And Evie.
Initiative.
Oh, and the initiative.
Evie, what do I got from you?
Chaotic good. You mess with my family. You mess with me for looking after Edmont after he passed out. Ideal. I must become a leader others can believe in for ordering the tree to be burned, even though she clearly felt morally conflicted in that situation. And flaw. No one understands for getting called out by Darkwood.
Listen, he just has a lot more experience being the Duke than you do.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we have a system of laws, and they don't work very well, apparently.
Isn't he lawful?
No, he's chaotic.
He's chaotic? Okay.
He's chaotic good.
I don't know.
He's good.
That.
In Sigil, you can definitely have a chaotic good villain.
It is definitely pronounced Sigil. Hard G.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sigil?
In fact, one of the things you have to do in Faction War, if you guys remember, is trace out the spell along the streets and actually create the sigil. And then when that happened, Nodal died. He just died in the middle of the session. He was over.
He did.
Real life? Is that why he's not in the campaign anymore?
No, he's dead forever. That was it.
Deleted Nodal.
Giant
He's in the Dustman's book, you know.
Well, I didn't realize. I'm gonna miss him.
Who had the most creative solution to a problem this session?
I like the goat idea, even though it didn't work. Come on, that was a good idea.
Whose idea was the goat idea?
That was Evie's idea, the goat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The goat. I don't have anything better. That was
It wasn't a bad idea. I
mean,
liked it.
other than the fact that goats are stupid.
It wasn't going to work, but it was better than any other ideas that you could have done.
Right.
My question is, was this session supposed to be dedicated to Tech?
I had a lot of things on the docket that we might have gotten to, kind of depending on what went where. There wasn't going to be just a cut and dry, correct, like wrap it up Columbo answer to the tech murder. It was just never going to be clean, just based on the things. It was always going to be messy in the end. Hanging is a little less messy than other things you could have done.
I mean, we could have burnt them at the stake, but
Who did the most to further the party's goals this week?
that would be Edmont for adopting a child.
Is that a party goal?
Is it really further our
It
goal?
is now.
So you've given up on Tenny. We're writing her off.
No.
The
We're
new
gonna
child's
try again. We're just gonna try again.
the new child's name is Tenny too.
Did he call her 11?
No.
There's been 9. Like what? The dark secret of the Veritas family is there was 9 others.
So
And
wait,
then they just-
the previous one was
it is-
named 90?
90, not 90, 90, and then 80. Oh wait, that doesn't work. Shit.
Who was the badass this week?
I'm gonna go with Genie for burning the tree.
It's like, yeah, can we just burn this tree? I think we just need to burn this tree and leave.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And one for intangibles.
I want to give that one to Destil for the declaration of all I have is fire. It will just make this problem worse.
I want to give it to Victor for keeping Tech Deck alive in memory.
How many Darkwood references did I make this whole?
Okay, McDohl for the dark, because McDohl figured out Darkwood. He deserves that.
No, I'm kidding. You don't have to give it to me.
Well, who am I giving it to? I don't know that Destil didn't figure out Darkwood. He just wasn't sending me PMs about it.
I sure as hell didn't figure it out.
I'll go with McDohl for being so excited that he figured it out.
He's pretty excited. So we're
Pretty
awarding
excited
That
about
it's
the
Darkwood because I like Darkwood.
McDohl's exuberance.
Yeah, like I don't see exuberance like that very often.
All right, and Evie has our straw poll.
Yay!
I'm looking forward to Darkwood because last time I ran him as an antagonist, this time I'm not running. He's not going to be the antagonist. The goal's not going to be to fight Darkwood. I guess you can if you want.
We would lose very hard.
Well, maybe not. He doesn't have any of his powers right now.
Can't cast any spells right now.
He's probably still really badass, but he might be defeatable.
He's like a level 19 ranger.
Listen, he woke
And
up out of a
loser.
gem, shook it off, and was like, "Here, give me a bow. I'm gonna go hunting."
And then he picked a, and then he princess carried our monk. It's like, yeah, okay, let's go. We would lose very hard. Well, I don't know.
I
Maybe
think he
action
does have
economy.
better base stats than all of you. Plus, he gets. There are other things he has that are not counted for in his second edition stat block, because he's called what's called a prolonger. A prolonger is basically a mortal that wants to live forever but doesn't become a lich.
That's what Victor wants.
So if you're powerful enough to want to live forever, but smart enough to not become a lich, you become a prolonger. And that's what Darkwood did. Which means he's smarter than Azalin, because Azalin settled for being a lich. The main
Yeah, I think
man-
this would be a
never
very
settle.
helpful ally to have against Azalin.
They're very
I've
similar
never saw-
characters. The difference is Azalin never walked the plains. He was on O-Earth until he got sucked into Barovia, whereas Darkwood walked the plains for a century or so.
I look forward to Rowan Darkwood's extreme dismissal of all of Azalin Rex's life achievements.
I
Like,
don't think the
that's-
two would get along.
I did that when I did that the first time, my first time through. This is like attempt 5. 4.
That said,
It's like in Suikoden 3 when you figure out who the masked man is, and it's like, dude, he was like my dude for 2 whole games, and now this?
who is more dangerous to piss off, the Lady of Pain or the dark powers of Ravenloft?
I think if you have to ask that question, you're probably already on the shit list.
You're already fucked if you're that far.
Well, it really depends on where you're at,
on
right?
the shit list of all the wrong people if you have to ask that question.
If you're
What's really gonna piss the Planescape characters off from is like when they hear about how a couple of yahoos from some prime, it's a bunch of clues from broke the Lady of Pain's mazes.
I think it's probably worse to piss off the Lady of Pain, because if you're in Ravenloft, you already have problems with the dark powers, but you could avoid getting in trouble with the Lady of Pain.
You don't have to make Lady of Pain checks if you're in Sigil misbehaving. We're level 9 right now, yes?
Yes.
For the moment, that might change.
Yeah, it's about to change.
So blips are worth 533.
Wait, is somebody about to level to 10?
Yeah.
I am
How?
Blips.
spending 2 blips.
I thought you were, because I was the high.
I don't know how much I missed last session.
I think Solitayre has been like the,
What's
the
your-
most frugal with blips this whole
What's
campaign.
what's your experience total, Saul?
I'm at 59,595 before we do these blips.
Oh, I was at much higher than that. Before, I'm going to be at 63,384.
How the
And I could-
hell did you get there? Because I'm only at 58. That's wild.
Oh,
That's fine.
I think it's because you've been burning blips. Like Saul and I barely ever burn blips.
Yeah.
So would you like
Alright.
to award some now that we've solved the mystery of the blips?
Yes, yes,
Edmont,
please.
you have
Sure.
6 and you just earned 5. Ekon, you have 6 and you just earned 4. Evie had 6 and just earned 6.
I earned 6. I should have only earned 5, I think.
Creative. Oh, you're right. You only earned 5.
Okay, but I'm going to spend 2, and I'm going to level up.
So you're going to come in next week with 4?
Correct.
Okay. Genie,
Mm-hmm.
you have 6 and you just earned 4. And Victor, you had 6 and you just earned 3. And
I am going.
Victor, are you spending blips?
I'm gonna burn all 6 to level up to 10.
So you're coming in next week with nothing.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna hope I don't piss off Darkwood.
Evie, are you taking a level of noble?
Correct. This will be my final level of noble, probably.
What reputation will you be taking, considering you just publicly executed these 3 guys?
A law.
I was going to take Uniter, because we have people of Darkon, Barovia, and Falkovnia all living in one village. But you are probably right that it would be good to kind of reinforce that with... I already have Just Ruler as a reputation, though.
Sure.
So... let's go with... yeah, I guess just go with Uniter for this one. If that's acceptable.
Okay. Victor, are you taking a level of rogue?
Yes.
What
Yes, I am.
reputation are you taking for this level?
I think at this point he might just take like the assassin for killing things so effectively.
Have you been assassinating things, though? You kill them effectively. But
He
usually,
did kill an ape in one shot.
usually it's part of an open combat with your allies. Like, you're not actually assassinating anyone. You could
true.
foster this as a reputation. It just might not have the connotations you're expecting.
Well, I was also thinking dinner guest of Strahd, but
I don't think we want that to become our reputation. We don't want Aslan to know that happened.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea.
You can take it if you want, and then the rumor will just begin.
we'll go with the wielder of fire or something. The flame daggers.
Okay. So even though it was Genie and Ekon who set that tree ablaze, the story is that you did it with your magic daggers.
I mean, the story is that I killed an unseelie creature with the magic daggers, but if that evolves into I burn the tree down too, sure.
Okay. All right. So, when we come back next week, I'm not going to actually need your player characters anymore, because now it's just going to be all Darkwood all the time. So,
I
okay.
believe it.
If you guys don't even
Yeah.
bother showing up next week, that's totally fine.
Yeah, I think he'll probably have, Aslan overthrown within a month.
Yeah,
Right.
campaign's already done. Let's let him take over from here. He'll see to it. So that's it. Thanks so much for playing, guys. I will see everybody next week. Peace out.
Yes.
Later, friends.